We have the curve, the parameters, the generator. Everything is in place. Now the central act of elliptic curve cryptography, turning a random number into a public key. This operation takes milliseconds. But reversing it, recovering the random number from the public key, would take longer than the age of the universe. A private key is a randomly chosen integer d in the range from 1 to n-1, where n is the group order of SECP 256K1. That is it. No registration, no authority, no database, just 256 bits of entropy. In hexadecimal, a private key looks like a long string of random characters, 64 hex digits. The only security requirement is that D must be chosen uniformly at random. If an attacker can predict or narrow down the possible values, they can steal the funds. This is why cryptographic random number generators are essential. Never use a weak source of randomness. Given the private key D and the generator point G, the public key is Q equals D times G. This means adding G to itself D times. The result Q is a point on the curve. This is scalar multiplication, simple to define. But D can be as large as 2 to the 256th. We cannot literally add G to itself that many times. That would require more operations than there are atoms in the observable universe. Instead, we use a technique called double and add. This is the additive analog of the square and multiply algorithm from episode 2. The insight is to write D in binary and process 1 bit at a time. For each bit, we double the running total. If the bit is a 1, we also add G. Let us compute 42 times G as an example. First, write 42 in binary, 101010, 6 bits. We start with R equal to the identity point. For the first bit, which is 1, we double R to get the identity, then add G. R is now G. For the next bit, 0, we just double. R becomes 2G. Next bit is 1, double to get 4G, then add G to get 5G. Next bit 0, double to get 10G. Next bit 1, double to get 20G, then add G to get 21G. Final bit 0, double to get 42G, 6 doublings and 3 additions. 9 operations total instead of 42. For a 256-bit private key, the double and add algorithm requires at most 256 doublings plus 256 additions. That is 512 elliptic curve operations. This runs in milliseconds on modern hardware. Now the critical question. Given the public key Q, can we recover the private key D? This is the elliptic curve discrete logarithm problem. Given an elliptic curve over a finite field, a generator G of order n, and a point Q, find the integer D, such that Q equals D times G. In Chapter 5, we studied 3 attacks on the discrete logarithm problem. Brute force requires n operations, roughly 2 to the 256th. Baby step giant step reduces this to the square root of n, roughly 2 to the 128th. The Pollard-Rowe algorithm also achieves 2 to the 128th. The best-known attack on the elliptic curve discrete logarithm problem is Pollard-Rowe, requiring approximately 2 to the 128th elliptic curve operations. Crucially, unlike the classical discrete logarithm in the multiplicative group of a finite field, there is no index calculus attack for elliptic curves. This is precisely why ECC achieves the same security level as RSA with much smaller keys. Let us quantify the hardness. At 1 trillion operations per second, recovering a SECP 256K1 private key would take approximately 10 to the 19th power years. The age of the universe is approximately 10 to the 10th power years. The forward direction takes milliseconds. The reverse direction outlasts the cosmos by a factor of a billion. A public key Q is a point with 2 256-bit coordinates. There are 2 standard formats. The uncompressed format uses 65 bytes, a prefix byte of 04, followed by the 32-byte X coordinate and the 32-byte Y coordinate. The compressed format uses only 33 bytes, a prefix byte of 02 or 03, followed by just the X coordinate. Since the curve equation determines Y from X up to sign, this single parity bit is enough to recover the full point. Taproot goes even further, using X-only public keys of just 32 bytes. A Bitcoin address is derived from a public key through a chain of hash functions. First SHA-256, then ripemed 160, then base 58 check encoding. This double hashing provides three benefits: a shorter output than the raw public key, a quantum resistance hedge even if someone could solve the discrete logarithm problem, and an error-detecting checksum. Modern addresses starting with BC1 use BEC32 encoding, but the principle is the same. A Bitcoin key pair embodies what Steiner calls self-determined identity. The private key is chosen by the individual alone. No registration authority, no identity provider, no central database. The public key is derived deterministically from this single private choice. The relationship between D and Q is constituted entirely by the mathematics of the elliptic curve. No institution mediates. The individual who holds a private key is sovereign in the strictest mathematical sense. We can generate keys, and we understand why the reverse direction is hard. The next question is, how do you prove you hold a private key without revealing it? Episode 10 walks through ECDSA, the original Bitcoin signature algorithm. Subscribe for Episode 10, ECDSA, the original Bitcoin signature. Companion materials for this episode are in the description. See you in Episode 10.